why not you be the one that is the exception to the various conditions and structures and belief systems of the dream matrix? There's no reason why it's not you. What if the most advanced spiritual tool is not a mantra or a meditation, but a decision that only you can make? You don't need more power. You don't need to come up with a new strategy. You only need to stop giving your power away to false authorities that exist only in your mind. Today, I want to cover with you the foundation of what keeps us stuck, keeps us waiting. You know what I'm talking about, right? That sense of like hope that something will change. Maybe the algorithm is going to favor me. Maybe my boss is going to favor me. Maybe some kind of healing will occur. And then I'm going to have the relationship I want, the life I want, the health I want, the connection I want, right? That sense that something external is determining your permission to live fully, to breathe fully, to be who and what you came here to be, to fulfill that sankalpa that is the core intention and purpose of your soul expression. All of this is a core foundation of the matrix, of the ego dream matrix, in which power seems to be outside of us. And this little boy or girl hoping and seeking for permission seems to be who we are behind the facade of, yeah, okay, all is well. I got this. I'm going to put a smile on. I'm going to do my thing. So if you know what I'm talking about, then dive in here with me and we're going to cover the principles that begin with this. The first principle is the illusion of the gatekeepers, right? Where does this come from? Well, it comes from our conditioning because when we were little kids, indeed, we had to wait for permission, right? Permission to whatever it is, right? In school, sometimes even to go to the bathroom. You're like, oh, can I please go? Right? That sense of being someone whose well being and life depends on an external permission has been the very nature of our initial years of life. And if you have basically had a sense of what psychology tells us about that, the developmental psychology, it is that our entire persona, our entire foundation of this avatar that we're going to play in this life is formed in those first 7 or so years of our life. The very same 7 years in which we continuously seek permission and wait on others, be that our parents, teachers, preachers, whoever, to tell us that we are right, that we are okay to proceed, that we can or cannot do something. Is it starting to make sense that we are carrying this outdated software, this belief system that is still running in the background? But now, of course, maybe it's not looking in the same way explicitly to our parents, but it has that sense of relationship to the world, as if there is something in the world that's going to give us a green light to go ahead. So, in truth, all of that is just this program that is still being referenced as we navigate our way through the world. So, the whole idea that your wife or husband is a gatekeeper, or that your boss, or that the financial markets, or that the whatever conditions. And I say this because you, like I, also know that in any and every condition, there are exceptions, right? In all kinds of downturn of economy, there are people who are making amazing money, breaking through and finding the right service or product to support the people on the way down, as on the way up, right? There's all kinds of people who have various conditions that we would say, oh my God, that is awful. That is deeply limiting. And yet you could see that their joy, their life, their peace is unlimited in that same condition. So why not you? Yeah. Why not you be the one that is the exception? to the various conditions and structures and belief systems of the dream matrix. There's no reason why it's not you. So, understanding that this whole sense of gatekeeper, that somebody out there is to give you permission, to give you some kind of go ahead signal to finally be yourself, that it all is coming from this very immature, childlike mind within us, that inner child space. And instead of allowing that to be in the driver's seat, we begin to, without our awareness, to say, okay, I got it now. Actually, the truth is that we have grown up. We give permission now, right? And that's the hint of where we're going, because at the core, without your own permission slip for yourself, nothing happens. None of those thresholds where you are challenged and you feel that pang in your belly, or you feel a sense of foreboding, or you feel a sense of shame or guilt or fear, none of that is going to be transcended. It requires your decision. As A Course in Miracles says, the power of decision is my own. My own. We're not waiting even on God to decide when we can have total freedom, right? Because God already granted that. The infinite creator is not withholding any freedom from us, only our choice. So we also then want to consider the other aspect. What is the cost, right? The cost is not just like, oh, I don't get my desire met. There's a really powerful cost, because we enter that frequency of waiting. And in the frequency of waiting, what happens? More and more waiting, right? This is the principle of correspondence, that like attracts like. As you abide in the frequency of waiting and hoping for permission, you attract more gatekeepers that appear in your dream and say, oh, you have to wait. Or, I'm not ready. And until I'm ready, I don't want to tell you whatever it is. So this aspect of, and you know what that feels like, right? When you're in the frequency of waiting, that very move or decision, because at the core of it, that's what it is, except now we're making it conscious. That decision is costing you your life force. Yeah. It's costing you your joy. Whenever you're in the waiting mode, it's like you put yourself in this mental prison, and then you feel yourself compromised, like bound in some way, which is not true. And that's why it feels depressing. That's why it feels frustrating. You might feel anger, sadness, or resentment, because this is the emotional feedback system, right? This is the emotional guidance system. And what is it saying? It's saying that the way that you are viewing reality is not true to the way that the soul, or the way that the infinite creator sees it, right? Our emotions are not a barometer of is something good or bad. They are a barometer of how close are you to your true self, to that alignment and oneness and full realization of who and what you are. That's what the emotion is saying. And so when you're feeling this contracted emotion, it's saying to you, no, this perspective that you hold of yourself, one in which you are waiting for something outside to give you permission to be free and okay and happy and to do what it is that you're here to do, this is a false perspective. So, in the second principle, the awareness of the waiting frequency is exactly what we want to develop. It's the mindfulness of, wow, I sense that. I am waiting for permission, right? And as we get to that last principle of the permission slip, we can see that whatever is missing, essentially, we can say, or whatever you're waiting for, is what you are not giving, right? This is another core principle that comes to us from the Course. Whatever you're waiting for, whatever you're thinking is missing, is what you are withholding from the situation, right? Why? Because everything that you could ever hope for, desire, or need is already and always here. And it is not a thing, it is a quality of consciousness, right? The thing, like let's say you really want a car, but the car in and of itself does not become you. You don't you don't absorb it in some way. You get a feeling from it, right? And that feeling is not generated or created by the car. It was always within you. You are giving yourself permission to express, to tap into that aspect of your consciousness that is reflected in that feeling. So when we really decide that we are shifting out of this waiting mode, we are essentially just choosing a different, let's say, timeline or a different quality or a different expression or a different self, whatever we want to call that, right? The essence of it is the same. It's already within you. You are simply choosing and making a decision to bring forth into expression, just like you were bringing forth the waiting mode. Now you bring forth the permission to be fully responsive to life without waiting for external permission. Yeah. So this is the awareness that we are cultivating. And in the moments that you notice the waiting mode, you make a new choice inwardly. You just literally inwardly can say, even to the Holy Spirit, you could say, or to your, what the Holy Spirit means is to your awake, lucid mind, the part of you that is aware that this is a dream and is not lost in it. You say, wow, okay, I am aware that I am waiting again. I am willing to give up this waiting mode, this waiting frequency, and come into the frequency of peace instead, to give myself full permission to be the truth of what I am. In other words, as A Course in Miracles would say, I can see peace instead of this. And so, what is it that happens then when you decide that I can see peace instead of this? You are essentially giving yourself that permission. And one way that we can truly and deeply anchor that so called self permission slip, right? To allow yourself to be who and what you are, to be a full fledged adult, spiritually mature, but also emotionally mature, also psychologically mature in a way that the inner child, that is always a makeup of our consciousness, in the makeup of our consciousness, is not the driver, right? Just as when you, if you were to have a child, you wouldn't put them in the driver's seat and then your child decides everything about your life, right? You listen to the child, but you don't allow the child to make the decisions for you and for themselves, especially when it comes to something that may be deleterious to it, right? So, in the very same way, as we mature, as we begin to hold this awareness and say, okay, I got you, I'm going to lead now. I'm going to provide all of the permission, and we are going to do this together. We no longer need to reference the external permission slips. And I, of course, mean this with a caveat, right? This is all to do with um, beneficence, right? You may want to go and see your friend, or you may want to go to this retreat, or you may want to start this business, and then somehow around you the voices are saying no, you can't. Of course you can. And of course I'm not talking about hurting anybody else or damaging something or um, stealing something. That's not where you want to give the permission slip. You still want to, of course, maintain the frame of oneness, that whatever you do outwardly is going to be something that you do onto yourself. Yeah. So you can literally, as an anchor point to all of our conversation here, take out a piece of paper and write your own permission slip. Like, think about those areas of your life where you've been withholding, holding back, waiting. Write those maybe at the top and then write out for yourself. I give myself full permission to live fully, to love fully, to express fully in all of these areas. And having that anchor, next time you face that situation, what's going to happen is that you will remember your own permission slip. There's a pattern interrupt that happens. And this is the very important aspect of what this whole game is about. This is a game of momentum, right? The more that you do something, the more that you will do something. And so to interrupt that pattern and to create an out of pattern interval, something new, that's what the miracle is. It's the interruption to what seemingly has this continuity with a complete shift in orientation, in choice, in decision. So I'd love to hear from you down in the comments below if this is making sense in a way that is deeply rooted in practical application, in a way that you can literally begin to shift with your pen, with your attention and intention, with your awareness and mindfulness, shift the current, the momentum of your life into the direction that you're here to express. So drop your comments in the comment section below, like and share this video if it was of resonance, and let me know also what are the very most important topics that you want to explore in the context of awakening from the dream matrix. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Until next time, take great care.
I'm already love, already joy, already peace, already whole. I see the infinite potential flowing through my soul. God is living my life, I'm just a witness to his plan. I surrender to the flow, I let go, I let it stand.